Well, I wanted to put it up tonight. I don't know if I'll
Yeah,
have time.
yeah, all good.
All right.
Good.
When you're ready, we start.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
Futsal community, the Dr. Nakar here. Welcome to our Futsal Australia podcast number 29. We're nearly 30. Every podcast will bring a special guest, someone from the Australian futsal community who has impacted the futsal in a positive way in your country. And today we have another very special guest, a friend of mine, someone that I've known for a very long time, and pretty much a life dedicated to futsal and his club, Jimmy Soufis, president of Fitzroy Futsal Club. Jimmy, it's great to have you here and welcome to the podcast.
Andre, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be on. Thank you.
Jimmy, when I say that it's a life dedicated to futsal, was that a true statement?
Very, very true. For now, probably 13 years, 14 years. Yeah, so very true.
We'll get to those early days in a sec, but and how much time do you spend on your club, basically on Fitzroy?
These days, not so much. Not so much. I mean, this kind of time where the season's finished and competition starting, players are coming and going is pretty busy. But generally during the week, it's not much. We have good people here now for Fitzroy to help me organize teams and the academy and stuff. So yeah, not as much as I used to, which is good.
Good. You have just won the men's series futsal once again, your 8th title. Were you involved in how many of those 8?
Six.
Six of
Six
them.
of them.
So
Yeah.
6 titles you have yourself. The club has 8. How many the women's have?
The women's have 3.
Women's go. Is that the most any women's club that's got?
I think the most still playing. I'm pretty sure Richmond have the most, but they don't play anymore. So
That's good. That's good.
yeah.
All right, Jimmy. We talk about running a club that, of course, title is a big factor of a successful club. Can you just run us through some of your most memory or all the titles that you can remember?
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously there's the 6 Series Futsal Victoria men's trophies. We have 4 Clubs Cup trophies, I think. We won 2 Futsalers Cups while I was there, 2 Series Futsal Australias, the AFCC Futsal Championships, 2 Byron Bay Internationals for the men, and then the women's have, I think, 3 Series Futsal Victorias and 2 Futsalers Cups. The juniors, well, the youth, I don't even know how many leagues the youth teams won now. Junior nationals, all different age groups have won over the years. The 21s have probably been the most successful. I think they have 6, maybe. But yeah, the main ones are the seniors. Obviously, juniors is to improve, and once you get to the seniors is where the winning matters, I guess.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
that's probably all I can remember.
You said that that's when winning matters at a senior level, but you have always set Fitzroy as a winning club. Is that what would be the mission of the club, a mission statement of the club?
Yeah, winning is always been, I guess, how we've run the culture. You know, winning is more. It's more fun when you're winning to be around futsal, and it's easier to be excited to come and play when you're winning. You know, if you're losing every game, which we did at one stage, it's hard to get motivated. It's hard to promote the sport. It's hard to keep players in the team. So yeah, winning is always half the battle. If you're winning, everyone's happy. So yeah, it's part of the culture, I suppose. So.
And Jimmy, for a very long time, and you still are playing. You've always done that double role, and maybe you've done 5-6 roles in the club. That running a futsal club in Australia have to do multiple roles. But going back to the early days, how did you first got involved in at Fitzroy?
At Fitzroy, well, obviously it's no secret I was in an administration role at Futsalers for a long time. So that's how I came into futsal. I used to do the media for Serious Futsal and watch all these players, and obviously interview the players, take photos of the players, video editing. And it got to a stage where I thought, you know, I would like to maybe give playing a shot. And I started with the youth team in around 2015. I was running the youth team for Fernando de Moraes. He asked me to organize it when the youth league for Serious Futsal Victoria started. And then I trained with the men's team from there, waited for a chance to play in the seniors. And yeah, as time went on, just took on a bigger role each year. And maybe in around 2017, I think I properly took over while Fernando was injured at the time, and we lost a lot of our leaders. So yeah, that's probably the journey there of how
Has
it
been
started.
a big ride for you. And you mentioned Fernando, but who else were there at those early days that influenced you to get involved in futsal?
The early days, really, it was Fernando. Really, it was Fernando who, because I was just really a social league player. I couldn't even pass the ball. I remember training at Brunswick. Fernando would pull me aside and teach me how to pass the ball, literally, at 20 years old. So
Mhm.
yeah, Fernando did a lot for me. And then as time went, I got to know more of the boys around Fitzroy. And yeah, but early days it was Fernando. And then as time's gone on, I've had more and more people help me and teach and mentor me. So yeah, it's Fernando is the main one that inspired me to take on the journey.
And what did it take to run an elite futsal club here in Victoria, such as Fitzroy?
Well, it's very tough. You need very good people around you, of course. I think you need for a long time I did it by myself, running the club, and it really catches up with you. You almost don't want to do it anymore when you're doing everything, which probably you understand as well as anyone, Andre.
Hmm.
It's tough. You need people to support you. So I have, Scott Rogan now supporting a lot. Gabriel Zabalos does a lot for the club. Tyler Lewis supports the juniors as well and does a lot. So this takes a big weight off me. But you need a good team. You need a good team around you to help run the club. Running with one person and isn't going to work. And you need to have everyone fully invested. If you're sort of 80%, 70%, then you won't succeed. So I'm sure everyone has good people, but maybe with life being tough sometimes, it's tough to fully commit. But if you're fully committed with a good team, I think that's the main role you need to take on a futsal club.
And what for someone that doesn't know anything about a futsal club in here in Victoria, where we are in Australia, what are some of the tasks that president needs to do?
Of course, the first thing is to fill out all the squads that you have. So once you get a club, you need to decide whether you're going to have senior men's, senior women's, youth teams, juniors. Set your plan, I suppose, and then fill out the players with squads, with coaches. Uniforms is another. Then social media is another big aspect. You need to run and promote sponsors. Then you need financials to support all these teams. Um, and then there's always something else that comes up. You need balls, you need bibs, you need equipment, cones. Um, that all kind of falls on you running a club. So yeah, that's in a short sum up. That's kind of what you need.
Is that something that you do full time, or you have another job on the side?
Sorry, what was that?
Is that something you do full time? Do you
No,
run a
no,
club full time, or you also have another job?
no. I have another job on the side now. Obviously, I was futsalers for a long time. I wish I could run Fitzroy full time, but we are not professional here yet. So we don't have home grounds and whatnot, which would be very convenient, I suppose, if you could have a home ground, work for the home ground, and then build out of there. So hopefully in the future, but yeah, for now it's not a full time thing for us.
And talk about home ground. We've been following the path of Cumbri building their own stadium, their own venue, and then nearly opening up. I think they're opening up in the next couple of weeks. It's looking amazing. I think they have an international court and a social court.
Yeah,
Um, and that's the home of Cumbri Futsal Club. Is there something that you could potentially have for Fitzroy in the future?
that's the dream, really. What Cumbria is doing over there looks amazing. They're building something for futsal in WA, and I think looking from the outside, it looks like there's not much going on there right now. So Cumbria could even house the league, if that's the route they choose to go down. But
The
yeah,
State
it's
Futsal League, right?
yeah, yeah. It doesn't. It looks like they were playing out of a gym at some stage. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Cumbria could even take on more of a role to run the league too, or host the league. So they're doing amazing things. The place looks great. Obviously, I have some good friends there that I keep in touch with about the way it's going. So, yeah, look, in future, that would be a dream to have a stadium and a home for Fitzroy.
Yeah, but it's you worked at futsal for many years. I worked as well. We all know how hard it is to run a venue, to run a futsal facility. and we saw other clubs trying that in the past and didn't work. So fingers crossed for Cambucumbu is gonna work. So we just leave this or support for them, and they can count on
Definitely
us
wish
for
them all
anything
the
that they need.
best. Definitely
Jimmy,
wish them all the best.
when we look at Fitzroy, we always see strong squads. Strong, so every team that you have is got a strong squad. We would say that it's kind of an honor to play for Fitzroy because you can't just turn up and play. It's basically you get asked to play, you get picked, and that's your chance to play for the club. How does it work, the player recruitment and the management for Fitzroy? How do you see those two important steps for making a team?
Yeah, look, for me, I think this started for us many years ago. You know, we built a core group for the men, and they also played in the youth for a long time. So having the core players is obviously very important for me and for us. If we have 3 or 4 core players, we can bring people in and then guide them through the system and the culture and everything. But it's very tough to find players now for us to just walk in and play. You know, it's not as it used to be. We're very fussy with players that we bring in, um, because yeah, I'd rather have less people playing than have players that don't want to be there or wouldn't fit in there. So a core group is very important. We always have for many years now. Scott Rogan. We always had Elias Parthamos. Harry Robotis was there for a while before he left and came back. So Cosimo Russo. These players were there for majority of the time I've been there. So we could always count on them every week to be there. And then other players who came and went really just filled out the team. But as long as we kept our core together, that was always the goal. The same happened through the youth. We always had the same players, the main players playing there, and we could build around that. So for like the 21s, let's say at a junior nationals, we would have 4 players, recruit another 3 or 4 that maybe weren't unbelievable, but they could just play around these guys. So having a good core of a starting lineup, I'd assume, and just holding on to that starting lineup is the main thing for me. If you always have that 4, even if you only have the 4, it's a chance to win. So yeah, that's the goal really.
So take notes of the other presidents. That's how you do it. But in the player management, how do you keep these players happy? And one thing that it's very clear for us is that the players at Fitzroy, they're very close to each other. They're a tight group. We just saw, I think last weekend, the men and women went out together. So how do you keep all these people happy and so close and like a family?
It's not easy. It's not easy, definitely. But I think for a long time we never had people leaving Fitzroy because they weren't happy. Other than maybe players that came to fill in spots and weren't playing, which is understandable. But if you're a main player there and you're playing big minutes, I think generally the only reason you would leave is for big money offers or maybe some players outgrow it. But generally they are pretty happy to stay around. It's just mingling as well. We always support each other. Maybe not as much as I would like coming to each other's games and supporting, but generally people are busy too. So yeah, as much as we can support each other and get together. Obviously, myself and Scott Rogan coach the women's team. We have for 5 or 6 years now, so it kind of crosses over, and yeah, it's a good dynamic. So it's just we got good people there, and they do it themselves. Really, it's not so much me. If you have good people, that will always work. So yeah.
So would you say that if players are playing, they are happy players?
Of course. If their players are playing, then there's not much to complain about, really. Other than if they're not playing well, then it's on them. So.
But you also did mention that one of the only reasons why players would leave would be for big bucks, and we're seeing the last few years here in Victoria, futsal is being taken to another level. Some clubs are becoming pro clubs. So there's a few clubs paying some good players on contracts, and there's also Western United coming in as well. So there's a lot of competition coming for you. In the past, you have lost Cozy, that he had a good contract at Moreland for a long time. I had to leave myself at Fitzroy last season, also for a good contract and for a new challenge for me. But how you plan on dealing with this next generation that is coming through, these next phases, I should say?
It's very good points. I think what's important is now for us. we did the undergrowth to build this and be where we are and be in a position now to win. So we're maximizing what we can right now. What happens in the future for us is in the future. Yeah, if we can continue to attract players, well then great. But we have plenty of youth players coming through. If at one stage we can't attract players, then they will play and we will rebuild and go from there and try and build a new generation. But for now, you say every season we try to win now because we're in almost a win now mode. The future for us doesn't really matter right now. We're trying to win every season as we can, get as many as we can, and capitalize on a kind of golden generation of players. And the future we will assess. But yeah, obviously with money going around, financial is hard.
How has
Hard to
money
build big
changed the game
games.
here in Victoria in
For me,
the
it
aspects of running
changed.
a club?
Yeah, it changed it in a massive way because you develop young players, especially for us. We lost Cosimo, as you said, Harry. Harry wasn't for money though, but Elias Parthamos, Adam Hayek, to name a few. We had a generation of players to even take over this generation and continue to win. But once they start to, I guess, play and you see their potential, other teams are able to come and offer them money. They're 18, 19, just finishing school, and they obviously will accept the offer. So it's tough. It's changed it in a big way. You're not able to retain your players as easily as you could. So yeah, it's definitely shifted the balance.
So for now, just keep on collecting trophies. You're on 8 trophies. Actually, I didn't play this question before, but I want to ask you: is the goal to reach Pascove as soon as possible?
The goal is to
Get those
pass.
10
The goal is
titles
to
and
pass.
yeah.
The goal is to pass. The goal is to get to 11 as soon as possible, and stand alone at the top. That's the goal. I never thought it would be achievable, to be honest. If you go back in time, I think when we had 0, obviously, I think Pascal had 10. So, we had 2. Sorry, we had 2 from the V League. Pascal had 10. So it looked like maybe if we can win 4 or 5, that'll be good. But now it seems very achievable to win another 3 in forever. Pascal just got relegated to League One, so they give us a little bit more time
At least 2 more
to
seasons.
perhaps take at least 2 more to get back, and then 3 to win it. So if we can win 1 or 2 more, we'll at least be close. So I think
it could be you guys
it's
win the next
realistic.
2, they come back and you fight for the 11th together.
That would be a story, wouldn't it? That would be a story.
be.
But no, look, realistically, we worry about ourselves. Every season we plan to win. We don't go into a season to just compete or whatever. We will be there at the finish, I think. Maybe on top, maybe not, but we will be in the running with 5 games to go, and we'll always give ourselves a chance. So yeah, the goal is to pass Pascal as soon as possible.
Very good, very good. And talk about the going back a little bit to the financial aspects of running a successful club like Fitzroy. Where these resources come from?
Well, sponsors is obviously a big one. Our junior academy is another one that can support the club. And people investing in the club in recent seasons has helped us, although this isn't forever. So you need more consistent revenue streams. Obviously, Serious Futsal now offer tickets, gate takings from the tickets that people pay on entry. So that's also like a sponsorship as well. It's another boost to help you get through and cover the club. But to pay players big money is tough.
This ticket at the gate, a big game like Mole and Fitzroy, how much roughly did you make from tickets only?
That last game where we played last season, because we didn't kind of have the same opportunity this season, but I'm pretty sure that game was like close to 150 people were there. With all the kids and stuff, maybe more actually. I'm not sure. I don't actually have the numbers anymore because I'm not a futsalist. But
so they would have covered the match fee. Would have covered the after match party and everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah, it's a good little extra.
Yeah, it is. It's a good incentive to bring people to your games. So
it's is there anything that's missing at Fitzroy, not financially, but if you could still get for the club, what would you say?
Well, obviously a home ground would be the top priority. but that's very tough to achieve.
Hmm.
No, I think we're pretty content where we are at the moment. Obviously, I think more money to pay the players would be ideal, but overall, we're pretty happy with where we are.
Very good. Uh, in these last 12 years that you were running the club, what will be some of your most proudest moments of the club, of your biggest achievements, I should say?
Well, the Series Futsal Australia in Adelaide was a massive one for us. I think we
Hmm.
won that before we won Series Futsal Victoria, against some Futsaroos, obviously your Pascal team, which was amazing. And we were still very young. We were still very young. You know, we had, I think Cosimo and Scott were 18. We had Cooper there for that tournament, Adam Cooper.
Yeah.
Fernando was there. Alistair Dunlop was probably 24, 25, but everyone else was pretty young. So it was a big achievement for us to win that one. The first Series Futsal Victoria title was special. We did it with all our youth players, all our young group, um, and Fernando was there as well. You know, who started it all. So Fernando started it all in 2012 when I wasn't there. So
Hmm.
yeah, to win that all together was special. Um, our women's titles have been very rewarding because you know coaching the women's has been tough for me and Scott. We started very young, coaching girls who are a lot older and probably had more experience than us. So that was yeah, to win with those teams were also rewarding, and just watching the kids grow up and do well. You know, we just saw Elias Parthamos, who I worked a lot with, you know, to win. What do you win? Best and fairest Golden Boot Youth Player of the Season. It's even though it's not for my club, it's incredible to watch these kids grow up and
Yeah.
almost take over the league and carry the mantle. So for me, that's very rewarding to watch them grow.
And Jimmy, what would be the biggest advice you could give to other presidents that are inspiring to have a club as successful as Fitzroy?
I think the best thing I could say is focus on your own project. You know, like looking from the outside, it's like there's a lot of noise and uh, new people coming into the game talking about what they're going to do and who they're going to beat and who they're going to sign. In the end, it's about doing it in house, creating your values, your culture, your team, your players, and moving forward together as one unit. Having everyone understand their roles and grow from there. So I think it's not important to talk about what you're going to do. It's your actions that show what you can achieve. So if you build your group from the inside and work quietly, eventually no one will see you coming, and all of a sudden you're winning titles. So that's the
Mhm.
best thing I could say. Is just focus on yourself and your group, and it'll come for you.
You mentioned that out of the sun you're going to be winning titles. Are there any other clubs, in your opinion, that have been doing a good project that very soon will be competing against Small and Fitzroy in Victoria, in Campbellfield, I should say already.
Well, Campbellfield was one. Campbellfield was definitely one this season. I think they changed a lot this season. So
But they still in that third position for a long
they're
time
still
to
there.
break
You're
it
right.
through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're still there or thereabouts, but they're creating a bit of a new project. To be honest, it's tough to see anyone kind of breaking in. I guess Hume, if they have everyone there and are playing with good confidence, they can push up the table possibly. Um, Western City in State League One, they just got promoted. They're doing a
Hmm.
great job, I think. They train a lot. They got a few serious Futsal Victoria players, and they're doing exactly almost what I said. It's just working together, building from the inside, and going along and getting promoted. I think that's their second promotion now, so congratulations to them. But there's some good projects. Melbourne Arcu, I think, is doing some good things. They probably need to recruit some more players, but they are on the right track as a club, which is great to see. Yeah, it's just time. It's just time, you know. Obviously, it's easy to look at Fitzroy now and see all the titles, all the success, but you know, you would remember, Andre, you were actually the one we were chasing Baskerville, winning titles every season, and we were fifth, sixth, fourth, trying to stay out of
Hmm.
relegation. And we just stuck to it, you know. We continued to move, and here we are. Same as Moreland. Moreland got relegated, I think, in 2018. Stayed together, built again, kept training, and became a powerhouse again. So it's about not giving up when things don't go well, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at.
and there's not much time
They're probably my
to
clubs.
and there's not much time to change the team because the season finishes, another season starts. At the start of podcast, you mentioned that during this transfer market, you're very busy usually. Is there anything you can give it away? Any players that are not going to be playing next season or leaving the club? I know you don't want to give away too much, but anything already that people know and you can tell, that you can tell
Yeah, I
us.
think for the men's team, the main one is Josh Allen. Josh Allen won't be playing next season. He'll miss the entire season. So he's been a big part of our core group for maybe 4 years now. So he'll go on a overseas trip to Europe, and he had it planned for a long time. So he won't be around. Um, in terms of coming in, we're not sure yet, but everyone else is committed so far to the club. So yeah, we'll need to bring in a few players to give us some depth. We're a bit short sometimes this season after injuries and stuff. But yeah, Josh Allen won't be playing next season.
Jimmy, in the women's, we saw Melbourne Revolution winning their first ever title. They found a way to not let you guys win, not let your girls win. What happened with the girls? If you can just give us a little sum up this season. You drop a game to Melbourne Revolution, but what happened with them and how you planning on getting that title back?
Well, we started the season very well, very well. We were at 7 games without a loss, I think, and then we did lose to Melbourne Evolution. That game was a good game. They won the game. That was fine. And then as the season progressed, I think we suffered a lot through injuries and suspensions. So we missed a lot of players. Towards the end of the season, we had injuries to players who were playing injured, and it just didn't help. You know, we were scraping through games. We barely had players available. And Evolution, they were training every week. They defended like you should in the championship team. No team could score against them. They would score 1, 2 goals, maybe max. Evolution would always get there 4 or 5, and they did what they needed to do to win the league. And yeah, it's just the way it goes. I think even last season we won the title, but Amazons at the time they suffered injuries and players missing. So it's a bit of luck too. You need your players there. Maybe if Amazons had their players, we wouldn't have won last season. So it's a bit of luck too, I think. But also hard work on Evolution's behalf to train and earn the title. I believe if we had a full team, it could have been different. We were right there at the end, 3 points. If we beat Preston, we could have played off for the title. So it's small details, you know, small details. But that's okay. The girls are a good group. They're together. Hopefully, we can field them for more games next season together and move on from there. But yeah, we're in a good spot for the women's too. We're happy with the group we have.
And what's women's futsal in Victoria like at the moment? If you can tell us, women's is a bit different to men, that they've always played soccer and futsal at the same time. Where are we at the moment?
It's entertaining, really. Like if you come down, you'll get a lot of action. Cards, you'll get complaining, you'll get big tackles. Like I'm involved, but if you sit back and you're watching, a lot of people find it more entertaining actually because it's very competitive between Evolution, Fitzroy, Preston. Aku is quite good now. So it's really out of the 6 teams in the league, Carlton and Northern Phoenix, who are just building right now. But those top 4 usually have really good games. More players are committing to futsal and training, which is great. Great to see. And the more they do it for the girls and set the bar, the more that we'll need to chase them. So, as you know, I've always mentioned in the men's Pascoval changed that culture of it was laughed at to train. So it's been like that for the girls for a long time, and now more and more teams are taking it on board. So yeah, training is the only way. Training is the only way.
Yeah, Mel Evolution just proved to everyone that you got to train to win. Are your girls training at the moment, Jimmy?
Not as much as they should be.
So they should if they want to win the title back.
Correct.
Jimmy, it's someone so involved in futsal, try like yourself. Talk about futsal in the country now. How do you take the current futsal scene in Australia? And we must say that you have the only one of the only Victorian futsal rules players called Rogan in your team.
Yeah, I think overall the country, it's disappointing to see where it is right now, given where it was maybe 6-7 years ago, 2017, 18, and before that. Futsal was flying all around the country. You saw all the leagues playing, and then we had the Serious Futsal Australias. F League was running, And now it's kind of like it's just Victoria and that's it. I know they do play in other states, but the coverage isn't what it was. And less and less states play all year round like they were. There's no national tournament really, which is again disappointing. Since the AFCC at the start of 2022. Before that, it was like 2019, I think, was the last
Nothing for
national
clubs,
tournament.
you say, yeah.
Yeah, and just overall, I think Victoria is leading the way. New South Wales always have their competitions, but you never hear about it. You can't really watch and follow these games and players. Queensland, speaking to people there, I think they have their F League starting, which is doing quite well. So that's positive. WA is always on and off. So it's just disappointing because I think it was in a much better place as a country maybe 6 years ago. But Victoria is thriving, which is really our aim at the moment. I think for players, it would be great to have a national tournament again where you get 8 to 10 top teams playing off in men's and women's, and that's something players look forward to. Scott Rogan being in the national team is an honour, but he deserves it. He deserves it, but it's not to say he's the only one that deserves it. More players in Victoria deserve it, and I hope that more do get their opportunity in years to come. Obviously, we won this AFCC. Victoria won the Nationals. It doesn't make sense for only one player to be in the national team. I mean, we've spoken about this offline a lot, but it's pretty crazy.
It's yeah, the talks now is that there is a preparation for these upcoming AFC qualifiers in October. And these AFC qualifiers will be the first time that we're not going to play in your region. We'll be playing all over Asia, and it's going to be basically pools of teams and like a World Cup, really. So we could play against Iran, we could play against Japan, we could play against anyone. But the futsal rules are training at the moment. There's a group training in New South Wales, a group training in Queensland, a group training in Victoria. And out of those three groups, there'll be some friendly games to be confirmed soon, and there'll be friendly games later on. And anyway, we hope more players from Victoria get selected as well, and from other states too, from Queensland 100%. And WA, South Australia, all the other states.
I hope the players that deserve to be there on their performance are there, no matter where they're from. That's all everyone wants to see. If you're performing, you deserve to be there, not because of what your name is.
Correct. And also in regards to the National League, there's talks that there'll be an F League this year in each state. We're seeing already in Queensland. Have you heard anything exactly about here in Victoria?
I've heard a little bit about it, but we've also heard about this F League for 5 years now, and nothing's happened. So we really hope that it does come together. The Victorian one, I think, will go ahead. Whether we have the national one or not is another story. But the Victorian one is meant to run from September to November, so 10 weeks, I think, with the grand final in at the end, I think, and then the winner has a prize of some sort. I'm not sure what the qualification is, but yeah, I think that looks positive as well. To run along with Serious Futsal here and just get more players playing consistently and improving.
Will Fitzroy be playing in the F League if that goes ahead?
Yeah, our men's and women's are entered in it, so if it goes ahead, we'll be there.
Good to hear. Good to hear. It's good to see that there's a lot of clubs now involved in any tournament, regardless of the organization. So you do futsals, you do Football Australia, you do whatever it suits you, right?
Yeah, of course. Futsals is always our bread and butter almost. That's where we all came from. It is the only league that gives the most to us all year round, so we can never leave that. But it's good to experience other tournaments too. It's always great.
Jimmy, I want to come up with a last question for you. What's different about Serious Futsal, and can Serious Futsal teams play on a big court or not? Can you please answer that question?
Serious Futsal, overall, the media is the biggest difference. The way it's marketed, the way it's run, the photos, the interviews, the videos, the coverage, the commentary is just something that you don't see around the country all year round. And in any affiliated tournament, you don't get this. Can they play on a big court? I think the trophies speak for themselves, really. I mean, like I mentioned, the last two big court tournaments that we've had, which haven't been many, Victoria has won. So, yeah, I think that's all I need to say, really.
There you go for everyone. I might even just clip that part of the podcast and put it up, Jimmy, if you don't mind. Jimmy, It's been a pleasure to have you on the Futsal Australia podcast. It's you are someone so deeply involved for the last 12 years. You started as a junior, now you made a name for yourself. You got your club up to the top. You have been at the top for many years, and hopefully for many years to come. Congratulations, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you, Andre. Thanks for having me on. Much appreciated, and continue doing what you're doing for the sport. It's great to see.
Thanks everyone for listening to your Futsal Australia podcast. Together we can make your beautiful game bigger and better, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you. That's it, Jimmy.